Good morning, good afternoon, or good night. This is the Transition IEP Parent-Teacher Meeting. I'm Ms. Hong. So let's first start the meeting by giving some basic information about the student. The student name is Sylvia. She's currently in 9th grade, and her career goal is to become an engineer. She has learning disabilities, and her strength is that she's a very hardworking student and that she's super creative. So some challenges that's related to learning disability is that students with this disability will typically have a harder time with understanding math concepts, harder time with understanding written passages, having difficulty with decoding words, and having a difficult time with copying down notes from lectures or from the board. So let's take a brief overview of the class that she's currently in, which she is in my 9th grade algebra class right now. And here's a link to all the common standards that the class is having, which you guys can, I will post this PowerPoint and you guys can click on the link if you guys want to look at it. So this class could really help Sylvia to achieve her goal to become an engineer because this class is algebra. Algebra will be needed in higher level math classes like Calculus 1, Calculus 2, Calculus 3, which she will need to take in order to get her engineering degree. So doing good at this class will help her later in her future classes to achieve her goal. So some concerns I'm having with her is that she's really having trouble with understanding word problems, and she's having difficulties with understanding math concepts, and her grade is not going where we wanted her to be. So in the past few weeks, I have come up with a few strategies that will help her, and we have tried them out. So here are the strategies. Number 1, OneNote. Number 2, math graphics. And number 3, using simpler language just on texts. So here, let me explain in detail what them are. So OneNote. OneNote is a software that students could just simply write out or type in the math questions. And then the software will show step by step how you can solve it. In the explanations, you can adjust the font and the spacing of it, so that way it will make it easier for students to understand. So using this OneNote, student can understand, like, say for example, the steps show that you have to use distribution property. Then we'll show how distribution property is used. That way you can see how that math concept is used. And also this will help with word questions as well. So let's take a look at the next slide. So in this example, you can see that you will put in the equation and then you will see step by step how everything is solved. And it's been shown like very detailed, like every single step as well. And this can also work with math word questions as well. If you have say the student have a homework question on like real life like wordy questions, you can just basically like copy and paste the question in here. If you don't understand what something means, you can just basically click on it and it will show a picture of what that word actually look like. Say for example, if it's like earth, it will show a picture of earth. And this could really help students on their homeworks and to improve their grades too. Another technique that I found is to use math graphics in classes. So math graphics is basically pulling math concepts as visuals. It can be either like in ways like this, like these pictures, or it can be like math graphics like charts. Just it's the main idea is basically making like complex math questions simple enough and as a visual, so that way it can help students to understand so that way it can help students understand those complex math questions. So in this example, we can see we have a bunch of little men making different kind of poses. These are basically what graphs will look like on graphing calculator. So basically you will have equation, and that is what the graph of that equation look like. And instead of reading the textbook and reading to the long explanations, you can just basically look at this and you remember the math concept. You will remember that y equals 1 over x will have a graph looking like this. It just make math concepts and just like much simpler to students. And this could really help Sylvia to improve her grades as well. Another thing is that I will also try to use similar languages on text. So in this algebra class, we have a lot of real world math questions and they are very wordy. So instead of just putting the questions the way they are, I will try to make accommodations of it. So instead of saying things like in addition to, I will just say added. Instead of saying things like adjacent to, I will just say next to. Making these similar phrases, it will help students to understand what the questions are really asking for them. That way they don't get points off not because that they don't understand the math, but because they don't understand what the question is asking for them. And this could really help fix this problem. So over the past 6 weeks or so, I've been trying a strategy, and here's two graphs of how the results have been going on. So here is a graph of percentage of word problems that she answered correctly. So as we can see, so at the beginning, without any accommodation, she got like maybe like 40% of the word problem correct. But as you can see over the weeks, she got closer to like maybe like 80 to 90% of the word questions correct, which just show that all the accommodations and the technology really work well for her, and she's starting to improve on her word questions. And oh, excuse me. So this next slide is basically grade, a graph on her grades, and as we can see on this graph that her grade is slowly increasing, which is that our techniques and accommodations are really working well for them. I mean, really working well for Sylvia. And parents, we still need our help too. Even though we can see that the grades are continuing to increase, we still need our help too. We still need your help to make sure that the student is using OneNote at home. And we need your help. If you want to use your student going home, struggle on things, and like accommodations aren't working for students, we want to hear your feedback. You can send us emails. You can send me emails or phone numbers too. And we can also schedule a follow-up meeting within a month or so. You can send me a time that you're available, and we can see if the grades are continuing to go up in a month. Thank you.